Hey guys, it's me Matthew again, and today I'm going to be doing a book audio, specifically a book that I myself wrote, is inspired by the anime known as the Fate/Slash series, but you'll see the slight differences between both this book and the anime itself, whether it's the movies or the TV shows. Overall, I can guarantee you all will enjoy it. But anyways, let's get on to reading Anime/Dragon Knight Unlimited. Chapter 9. The History of the Tepish Bloodline. A long time ago, a little Tepish boy was born. He was a distant relative of Vlad III. This little boy was Monterey Crescent Tepish. 10 years after Monterey was born, he was learning his family tree relations. He found a lot of historical and fictional information. One distant relative that was born in the 1400s, Vlad Dracula Tepish, he was fascinated with this one family member from a long time ago. He became obsessed with both the facts and fiction, as well as the impression Vlad had on his country and countries around it. Year after year, he studied his family tree, but one family member he studied the most was Vlad III. He was also obsessed with his other hobby, space. He was fascinated with both hobbies, but one day he discovered magic. Before his 18th birthday, his parents found him practicing moon magic, and so they tried to kick him out, but things got bloody. He bit into his father's jugular. His mother pulled Monterey away from him, and he sank his teeth into her jugulars as well. On his birthday, he continued to practice magic, but this time it was blood alteration magic. He changed his physical body to be able to have both vampire fangs as well as the ability to hide them. He even gave himself sharp fingernails that can cut through the thickest wood, but can only leave marks on metal instead of cutting through it. He turned himself into a vampire, except he could be in broad daylight and not burn.
He drained his parents' blood by hanging them upside down and placing his fangs into the artery. He did not drink the blood, but infected the blood with his vampirism of his own design. He then placed the blood back into his parents. Once all the blood was back in his parents, he gave their bodies enough volts to bring them back to life. He was happy that they were back. He asked, "So how do you feel, mother and father?" His mother said, "Good, actually. Wait, why did you kill us just to bring us back?" His father said, "I'd like to know as well." Monterey said, "Because I didn't want to be put onto the streets without my parents, and I knew that if you were vampires that you would want to learn." His father said, well, you're not wrong. I am curious of it now. What about you, dear?" His mother answered, "I guess it is okay if we learn together." They were happy learning together, so much so that Monterey began to look for the remaining Tepesh family members and turn them into his type of vampire. On Monterey's 30th birthday, he found out about the controller wars. He continued to learn day by day, night by night, until he found what he needed to give him a huge advantage against the other 6 masters, and began to grow his army at the school underground. 5 years later, his army was complete and was waiting for the lunar eclipse to summon the eclipse dragon. Days later, the elliptical moon appeared, and Monterey said, "The elliptical moon, shine upon me, be with me, and turn red. You're beautiful like the stars all around you. Come to me, and please show me your true form." The elliptical dragon materialized before him, and the elliptical dragon asked, "Are you the one who is my master?" Chapter 10: The Dark Truth in Plain Sight. Monterey said, "I am the one who is your master." The elliptical dragon said, "My name is Ellip. What is yours?" Monterey said, "I am Monterey Crescent Tepesh, and this is my family." Ellipse said, "Well, this is a first for me. In all these wars I've lived and died through, you have a vampire atmosphere about you all. Anyways, what is our first move?" Monterey said, "We wait for the blood moon eclipse. They'll be here soon." And so they waited for the blood moon eclipse. But meanwhile, they gathered information about the 6 dragon masters every day and night without rest. They've seen everything that was going on throughout the days until the present day. Meanwhile, back in Frieza's dream, 2 years later, Frieza gained half her memories and has learned the types of magic that was interesting to her. She grew a bond with her teacher, who taught her the magic she wanted to learn. Her teacher even helped her train her body to get her fit, to get her prepared for whatever might come her way. She asked, "When will I be able to leave?" Syra answered, "When you've gained all of your memories back and have learned all that you need, both physically as well as magically." Frieza said, "It's been 5 years and I have only gained half of my memories, or so I think. I've done all that you've asked of me. You know what? I think I need to pack up my things and get going." Syra sighed and said, "If you want to leave, I won't stop you, but please let me do one more thing that can save your life." Frieza said, "Okay, alright, let's get this over with." Syra said, "Thank you." Syra set up the final ritual for Frieza. Frieza said, "Okay, here we go." Frieza was covered in a purple robe and got up onto a table in front of her. Syra asked, I assume you're ready. Frieza said, yes ma'am. Syra said, well then, let's get started. Here, drink this. Frieza drank the potion and she fell asleep. Syra said, the body that is Frieza's, come forth and allow me to strengthen you. She placed a hot ruby onto her chest where her ribs meet each other. Her skin melted around the ruby, but Syra healed that spot until the ruby cooled. Hours later, Frieza woke up in bed. She saw her stuff was packed and ready to go. Frieza felt an uneasiness in her chest. She looked at it and she got a flash of all her memories flooding her mind. She said, Zoro. Syra asked, you just got all your memories back, didn't you? Frieza said, I did. Thank you, Miss Syra. Thank you for everything. Syra smiled and said, you're welcome, Frieza. Dear, now, then, I believe you must get going to wherever you may end up. Frieza laughed and said, you're right. Anyways, hope you don't get bored without me. Syra said, oh, trust me, I won't. Frieza got out of bed, got dressed, grabbed her bag, and said, well, anyways, have fun with me gone, okay? She winked and then walked out of the door. Later that same day, she went to her home to see that it had a for sale sign on it, and thought to herself, okay, where should I look next? We don't have any relations, so maybe I should see if he's at the school. 3 years later, she saw Front Zero in Inferno's fight, but did nothing, even though she was happy to see Zero at long last. She stayed back and didn't interfere. Hours later, she was in the boiler room and made a secret place for her to sleep. She began to plan her next move as well. A few days later, she saved Zero by commanding Stone Leia to kill Alderia. So that's her story of how she was still alive. Frieza woke up, got out of bed, and walked out of her and Zero's room, then headed to Mariette's office. When Frieza got there, she knocked on the door. Mariette said, come on in. Frieza walked in and closed the door behind her. She said, Miss Mariette, there's a war coming in 2 days. You need to get all the students and professors ready for this war. Also, please expect all the Tapishes to not be in school and that they are on the other side. Mariette said, good to know, I'll do it right away. She used communication magic and said to all the students and professors in the school, in 2 days there will be a war. Please protect yourselves and each other. Most of all, protect my damn school. Mariette stopped using her communication magic and said, thank you, Frieza, for warning me on what is coming soon. Frieza laughed and said, you know, one of the rules when it comes to serious matters like this. Frieza said, "You're welcome, and I already knew that, Mother. Anyways, I need to prepare and help out around the school." Marriott said, "Okay, but stay safe. See you when this is over." Frieza said, "I will try." Frieza walked out of Marriott's office, then went on to do all she could to help. 2 days later, Frieza asked, "Are you all ready?" Inferno said, "You damn know it." He smiled wildly. Lois said, "I'm ready just like you, Frieza." Franzaro said, "I'm more ready now than I was 3 days ago." Frieza said, "Now, if you are all ready, let's protect our school." Chapter 11: The War of Blood, Death, Vampires, and Dragon Masters. Monterey walked into a dark stone circle room that looked old, dead, ritualistic, and bleak. It had a circle hole in the roof that showed the elliptical moon. Monterey said, "The elliptical moon of the night, come forth and stop time for those of unsupernatural. Make the sky a blood crimson red that sparks of death and of the immortal vampires of the night." Time stopped everywhere, but the elliptical moon still flickered and moved all those that warned of magical origin or even know of magic or don't have any magical abilities are frozen in time, unable to move unless if they're moved by those with magical abilities. Monterey ordered, "Those of my vampiric familyhood, it is time to feed and turn those who are or aren't of magical origin. Let's turn the world into a world filled with vampires. Now then, everyone, attack the school of magical origins. The war has begun, and everyone at the school was ready for anything." Marriott said, "Everyone that wants to die, stay in the front lines. Those who are a class 4 or 6, stay behind the ones who want to die, and those of a higher class may just stay behind them. Those who don't want to die but want to be in the front lines, do what you can to kill those who dares to try to attack my damn school. Now front lines, attack." Inferno, Frieza, Franzaro, and Gloa were riding their dragons over the army of vampires when Frieza asked, "Are all of you ready?" Franzaro said, "More than ready. I'm pumped." Inferno said, "You're not the only one." Gloa said, "I'm always ready to go against evil. Anyway." Frieza said, "Well then, let's go." They jumped off their dragons, and their dragons made a clearing for them to land on with their elemental blasts. When the dragon masters landed in the clearing, they ran immediately, killing any vampires in their way with styles of their own abilities, left and right. Franzaro cheered in having fun with on how fast he's going. They were all swift, graceful, some of them passionate, and overall enjoying it all in a fun way like Zero. Meanwhile, in the air, their dragons helped him along by clearing spots for them not just to land on, but spots for them to make a bunch of kills all at once. They even brought hundreds of vampires to their own worlds, and by doing so, they created waves of vampires towards the school, but lowered their numbers a bit. Meanwhile, Monterey was observing the battle and ordered the 4 remaining Tepish, his please guard the entrance. You'll have company soon. Meanwhile, Heavenly came back from a world which was destroyed once again and looked up. She yelled, "Bruh, her and sister, watch out." Ellipse said, "My beloved moon and sky, send forth my opponents, falling stars of fire." Falling meteors fell from the sky, exploding the moment they get near the elemental dragons and exploding when they hit the ground. But Fireblaze said, "Are you serious? Grr, Ellip is pissing me off." Soleil said, "Just keep dodging, you'll be fine." Harfa said, "Easy for you to say. These things keep coming out of the sky and nowhere." Heavenly said, "Come on, no bickering. Let's just do our part and take down the lip." They all said understood. They all used their elemental blast in unison, heading to the lip, but he was too high for the combination of elements to hit him. Ellipse said, "Well, my brothers and sisters, I think it's time for you to meet my world that was destroyed in the end. The world that was my origin. Please materialize." Meanwhile, Franzaro was speeding around, having fun, and said, "Hey, I think I know where Monterey is." Frieza landed on the ground and ran, then asked, "Where?" Franzaro flew back into the air and said, "Follow me." Franzaro used ice magic and froze the ruins that he saw. Franzaro said, "There." Inferno said, "Well, at damn last, let's go and attack." Phoenix said, "Here they come." Alan said, "Forget this, I'm going to buy some time." Alan ran and jumped into the air. He transformed into a cheetah, heading fast at Inferno. Inferno was in the air, using his fire magic to keep himself hovering in the air. He looked down, laughed, and said, "You just made a big mistake, vampire." Inferno smiled. and headed straight for Alan. He said, "The fire that's my soul, adjust and give me fangs as well as claws of fire." They clashed cheetah claw to fire claw, will to will. The fierce natures that made them how they are, they fought fearlessly in the air, and when they reached the ground, they continued matching each other blow for blow. Meanwhile, Frieza, Zoro, and Gloa landed in the woods. They walked through, waiting for the attack. Then suddenly, Gloa said, "Wait, I hear something. 3 surrounding us. Oh boy, run!" They ran fast through the ambush and attacked those set to ambush them. They battled fiercely with each other. Frieza was fighting Lyra, Gloa was fighting Solomon, and Zoro was fighting Finnick. Lyra asked, "So tell me, why do you come back from the dead? Why do you join back with your brother when you could have been free of him?" Frieza, defending herself, said, "Because I'm his everything and I love to see him smile. That's worth more to me than money could ever buy." Lyra asked fiercely, "Are you serious? Is that really why you came back? Or was it because of something else that made you come find him?" Frieza said, "Maybe it was fate that drove me here to kick your butt." Lyra hissed and said, "Why, you little bit?" Frieza gave Lyra a surprise kick to the face and said, Now, that is not polite." Lyra got up frustrated and said, "Well then, I guess you're not coming back as a vampire after all." "Ha, not after you pissed me off." Heavy breathing from battling, Zoro asked, "So Finnick Tepish, tell me, why fight when you have someone you could be with?" Finnick said, "Because she was taken from me by a kidnapper that is going to kill her tonight around midnight, and it will always be that way since time has stopped." 3 hours before midnight, Franzro asked, "Then why aren't you looking for her? Why don't you go looking for her instead of fighting me?" Finnick said, "You're right. Why don't I go save her? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and find her. Thank you for making sense to me and helping me see the opportunity in front of me." Franzro said, "You're welcome, Finnick. Now go find her. If you do come back, I'll be sure you two will be safe from the principal." Finnick said, "Thank you. I'll remember that." Finnick walked off into the woods, disappearing from view. Franzro headed to the ruins to end this madness. Meanwhile, Gloa and Solomon were gracefully fighting each other, using the best of their abilities. Solomon said, "You're actually a good match against me." Gloa said, "I'm glad as well that there are people out there who can match my skills. Someone said, perhaps we'll have fun like this again someday. Lois said, maybe. You don't seem to want to kill me, but more so trying to turn me. Solomon said, well, it's hard to find a good opponent these days. Lois said, understandable, but you know, I still won't let you turn me. They fought even more fiercely, and neither one giving up. Back in Ellipse World, Ellipse said, brothers and sisters, welcome to my world. Ellipse World was barren, stone, dust, and pure heat. Heavenly asked, this is your world? It's so barren and dead that there's no end. Arfrost said, the only complaint that I have is it being hot. Fireblaze said, honestly, this is no different than my world, but it's way hotter there than here. Sunleia said, Siblings focus and kill him before he eliminates us here by him destroying his world. Fireblaze said, he's right, let's take him down. They combined their elemental blasts at Ellip once again, but this time when the power from their elemental blasts hit Ellip's wing, it made him fall to the ground unbalanced. This put him in a position where he was unable to destroy his world. Heartfrost said, I don't care if you're my brother or not, I will kill you. Ellip laughed and said, I'd like to see you try. After all, an eclipse is full of curses, especially lunar eclipses. They all attacked Ellip. Ellip fought back with all his abilities. They fought a bit more fiercely than their own masters did. Meanwhile, Franzaro found the ruins. He went in and found Monterey. Before he got the chance to slay him with his speed advantage, Monterey disappeared in front of him. Monterey snuck behind Zero and said, why hello, Zero. They fought each other in the circular room, destroying the walls their backs hit. They used all their abilities to fight each other. They then went through the roof, hitting each other with great speeds, just grazing each other. Franzaro managed to get in front of Monterey, falling down to the ground. Zero asked, why are you doing all of this? Why? Monterey said, one of my family members was accused of being a vampire. Instead of asking, I was born a Tevish, but it was only through the relations of the first Vlad ruler. I liked Vlad the Third because of the impression he left on his people, along with his history in the fictional rumors about him. Franzaro asked, so that drives you to this madness? You fool, you should have thought to do something else with your life instead of this crap. Before they hit the ground, they land on their feet on tree branches. They continue destroying all that was around them as they tried to kill each other. Meanwhile, Inferno and Alan were fighting each other. They're destroying anything that came between them. Alan was in his vampire form, doing his best to kill Inferno. Inferno said, I'm rest that someone's able to handle my brutality. Alan's head could say the same thing about you, Inferno. You and I are opposite sides of the same coin. Inferno said, "Huh, I can honestly agree with that, but I still need to kill you if it's the last thing I do. The fire that is my soul come forth and show my opponent what I truly look like by showing him my fiery soul." Inferno burst into flames and lava looking. Inferno didn't look like he came from hell, nor did he look like the fires of hell, but looked like he came from the earth's mantle itself. He had fangs, claws, phoenix-like wings, and eyes that showed the light of the planet itself. Alan said, "Well, this will be interesting." Alan ran at Inferno in a fierce curiosity attack. Inferno flew into the air, dodging Alan's attack, and said, "The fire that I control, burn this vampire to ashes." Inferno threw fireballs at Alan, each missing him due to Alan's speed. Each miss consequently caused the forest to catch on fire. Alan then jumped up into the air, almost reaching Inferno, but Lyra came out of nowhere, hitting Alan's left side, sending them into the forest with barely a trace. Risa said, "Sorry about that, Inferno." Inferno said, "Actually, let's go after them and fight them side by side." Frieza nodded and headed through the woods on the ground, looking for them, while Inferno was looking above the trees. Meanwhile, at the school, Mariette was giving orders when she saw a vampire going around to the front of the school. Mariette had Professor Salivor, "Please take over for me while I take care of something." Salivor said, "Yes, ma'am." Mariette ran off to confront the vampire heading to the front of the school. Finnick was walking past the side of the school, about to leave the entrance, but Principal Mariette asked, "And where you be going, Finnickley Tepish?" Finnick said, "To go save my soon-to-be wife from her kidnapper. Your student Zero can vouch for that. So may I please go? My soon-to-be wife is not on the school premises." Mariette said, "Or I can come with you and help you. You are still one of my students, after all." Finnick smiled and said, "You can if you want. I won't stop you, but it seems a little pointless since time is at a standstill for those who don't know or have any magic." Mariette said, "We shall see." Meanwhile, back in Ellip's world, they were all exhausted, including Ellip himself. Ellip was about to use his elemental blast, but he didn't have enough power. This caused him to collapse and fall asleep. Ellip's world disappeared around them, and they appeared back in the real world. Fireblaze exhaustedly said, "Well, he was difficult to take down." Heavenly said, "Yeah, he was, but we need to eliminate him." Heartfrost said, "Give me a minute and I'll end it." Heartfrost was wobbling walking to a lip, and when he finally got to a lip's face, he said, "See you in the next war, brother." Heartfrost grabbed a lip's neck with his mouth and broke a lip's neck. A lip slowly deteriorated, and Heartfrost said, "Well, let's get going." They nodded in agreement, then walked through the woods, waiting for their strength to return to them. Meanwhile, Franzaro and Monterey were still fighting. The battle seemed to have no end. Franzaro said, "I've had enough of this. My heat is ice. My heart is cold. My heart is who I am. My heart is my body, my soul, and my might. It's time for you to meet my inner nature." Franzaro and Monterey disappeared from the real world and entered a world of Zero's making. Monterey said, "I didn't think you had this kind of power." Franzaro said, "Was it a good surprise for you?" Monterey said, "Indeed it is. Do you really think this will be enough to take me down, though?" Franzaro said, "Here, anything that comes to my mind is possible. As long as you're in my reality, you don't stand a chance." Monterey said, "We shall see if your reality is strong enough to take me down." Monterey ran at Zero at full force. He hit something that prevented him from getting close to Zero. Monterey said, "Go, what the hell was that?" Monterey touched where he hit and asked, "Is this an invisible wall?" Franzaro asked, "Would you rather it be holy water?" The invisible wall turned into a body of holy water, causing Monterey to flee quite fast, dodging any obstacles that Zero placed in front of him. The ground around him started to disappear, leaving chunks of land from place to place. Zero was flying overhead and said, "You can't escape this." Before Monterey spoke, an arena formed around them in a hexagons. It was an interesting sight, so much so that Monterey said frustratedly, "Let's just get this over with." They got into their position and then ran at each other in a speedy way that they did in the real world. They just didn't give up trying to take down the other. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Lyra and Alan were getting up from where they landed. Alan said, "Gah, you're pushing up against my rib, Lyra." Lyra said, "Quit whining, Alan." Lyra offered her hand, and Alan grabbed it. She hoisted him up and continued saying, "We still need to take down Inferno and that bitch, Frieza." Alan said, "Okay, I know to listen to you now since you said that." Lyra said, "You better." I heard a voice that said, "Oh Lyra, where are you?" Lyra said angrily, "Frieza." They heard another voice in the air. "Alan, where are you? Come out so that we can end this." "Ah, there you are." "Frieza, they're over here." Frieza said, "Okay, I'm on my way." Lyra said, "Hey, Alan." "Yes, Lyra?" Alan asked. "Let's take them both down together," she said excitedly. Alan said, "Agreed." When Frieza and Inferno got there, Frieza asked, "So you going to give up?" Lyra said, "You know the answer to that question." Frieza said, "I figured that would be the case." Inferno had a smile on his face while he swapped opponents with Frieza, and Lyra asked, "Are you changing who you're wanting to fight?" Frieza said, "Yep, I want to see if things go differently." Lyra asked, "You do know that I will tear him up, right?" Inferno said, "Good luck with me like this." Alan said, "I'll fight you if I have to, but I don't like to fight females." Frieza said, "That's good, but that won't make me hold back." Alan said, "I wasn't expecting you to." Lyra said, "Enough talking, more fighting." They both came at Frieza and Inferno, but they combined their abilities, striking them down dead, bleeding on the ground. Frieza said, "Well, that was fun while it lasted." Inferno said, "Same. Let's see if Zero needs our help." Frieza said, "Agreed." They ran to the ruins and found their dragons. Frieza said, "I take it you took care of your brother?" Arfrost said, "I took care of him. Zero isn't here. In fact, I can't sense his presence anywhere. He is still alive since I'm still here." Frieza said, "Oh no." Inferno asked curiously, "What?" Frieza said, "If he isn't here, then he's probably in his world trying to kill Monterey." Inferno asked, "But?" Frieza said, "But once he gets out, he won't be the same." Inferno said, "We'll see." They heard a destructive noise behind them. It was Gloa and Solomon fighting each other fiercely. Frieza sighed and said, "Let's help Gloa out." Inferno nodded and they ran after them. Meanwhile, 23 miles away, Finnick and Mariette arrived at a mansion. It was spooky and supposedly abandoned. The whole area was overgrown, eerie, and the mansion was falling apart. Mariette asked, "Is this the place?" Finnick said, "Yes, I now know who took my soon-to-be wife." Mariette asked, "Who?" Finnick said, "The ghost of Solamoli Crayley, the Cursor." Mariette said, "I thought she was a myth." Finnick said, "I used to think that as well, but now..." He shook his head and said, "Let's just go in and save her." Finnick walked inside the mansion with Mariette behind him. It was the same on the inside as it was on the outside. Finnick looked around and saw a staircase. They carefully walked up it. When they got to the second floor, Finnick looked around again, then closed his eyes and whispered, "Show me the way to my love." An image of the mansion's structure appeared in white, red, gray, and yellow. The yellow showed the electrical frequencies of a being. The red showed a spot of death. The gray led the way to his love, and the white showed the structure of the mansion. Finnick followed the path that was shown through his eyes. The path led them to the attic, where they saw Finnick's love's eyes open in a hypnotized state. She was unharmed but dehydrated and starved. Finnick looked for the ghost, but it wasn't there, like it was before Finnick asked, Mariette, please take my love to the school and place this amulet on her. Mariette said, anything for my students. Finnick said, just be careful and aware. Mariette nodded and headed downstairs after grabbing Finnick's love. When she got down from the attic door suddenly closed. Minutes later, he woke up and saw that she was gone. He felt for holes in his teeth where his fangs used to be, and felt nothing, not even the fangs he used to have. He walked out of the attic and headed to the school to be by his love's side. Meanwhile, back in Franz Zero's reality, Monterey and Zero were beginning to get worn out. Zero said, not bad for a class 20 mage. Monterey said, are you class 19 mage? Zero said, let's end this not with magic, but with physical abilities. Monterey agreed and Zero said, okay then, let's get this over with. They got into position one last time and ran, hitting each other, making each other bleed blow after blow, hit after hit, kick after kick. Finally, Zero discovered something inside him that wasn't magical but biological. He grew wings that were white as snow. He grew claws and fangs like that of a snow leopard. He grew a snow leopard tail as well. Monterey said, I thought you said no magic. Franz Zero said, this isn't magic, nor is it my reality. I believe this is soul biological genes finally expressing themselves. Monterey said, we shall see. Monterey threw a punch at Zero, but Zero blocked it with his wings, causing Monterey's hand to break right up to his arm. Monterey screamed in pain and anger, saying, how is this possible? How is your wing not just that strong, but hard? Franz Zero said, I don't know, but it's time to end this. Monterey said, why, you bastard. Zero ran fast and slapped Monterey's face with his tail. This whipping sent him into the wall, breaking Monterey's spine. Monterey said, I can't move. He sighed and said, you won. Kill me now. End this, I beg of you. Zero said I should, but I won't. I'll have Principal Mariette make an example out of you. Monterey said, why, you cold son of a bitch. Zero went ahead and fly his reality world, and then they came back to the real world. Zero asked, now then, unfreeze time right now, Monterey. Monterey said, fine. The elliptical blood moon, I beg you, let time continue how it was before. The red sky turned back to a beautiful clear night sky and everything was moving again. Monterey fell asleep in his condition. Zero heard a noise. It was Solomon collapsing, worn out, with someone who he recognized on top of him. The person said, it's good to see you again, my precious Zero. Franz Zero dropped to his knees. Mother? I thought you died like I thought Frieza did, he said, crying. Franz Rose's mother said, we're not the only ones who are still alive, Zero dear. Then someone said, good seeing you at long last, my flying leopard. Franz Rose said, Father, you're alive as well? I'm so glad. What about Shira, Deliana, and Zoriella? Are they still alive as well? Franz Rose's father said, I'm sorry, Zero, but they are truly gone, he said sorrowfully. Frieza said, crying, it doesn't matter. You're here now. That's what matters. Franz Rose said, Sis is right. We're happier than you know. The parents said, oh, our dear children. They smiled with tears. They hugged each other in pure happiness. Chapter 12. A new day, a new story. A week later, the school was back to normal. Franz Rose was in bed with Claire on top of him, asleep. Franz Rose woke up smiling. He kissed Claire on the cheek. He woke up and looked at Zero with a smile. Then they kissed each other before getting up. Franz Rose said, good morning, my gorgeous Queen Snow Leopard. Claire said, good morning to you too, my handsome flying Snow Leopard Tom. They laughed and kissed each other again, then got out of bed to change clothes. Hours later, Franz Rose and Claire were walking down the hallway, heading to Frieza's room. When they arrived in the secret room in the waterfall, Frieza said, good evening, Zero. Claire, I've got good news. You know that book Shishari wanted me to have? They said yes. Frieza said, well, it looks like it has the answer we needed to end this thing without killing each other. Franz Rose said, okay, so what do we need to do? Frieza said what Inferno said, transfer your command skills to me. Franz Rose asked, okay then, how do we do that? Frieza said, bring out your hand and say these words. She showed him a piece of paper with the words to transfer the command skills. Zero read out loud, the command skills of the controller wars. I give you to my sister, who I trust will take good care of you. The command skills disappeared from Zero's hand and appeared on Frieza's hand. Frieza said, okay, now we just need Loa Inferno and somehow to convince Monterey to transfer the command skills to me as well. This is how we end this war. Zero said, allow me to handle him. Loa Inferno will be here any minute. Frieza said, okay, well, good luck, Zero. Franz Rose walked out and headed forward to the dungeon with Claire. They arrived 20 minutes later. Zero asked, please stay here, my queen. I will try to convince him. Claire said, okay, my Tom. Do your best. Zero laughed and said, you know I will. He went in and said, hello, Monterey. How are you doing? Monterey said, broke. I'm not going to be difficult. She can have my command skills. Zero asked, you'd just give Frieza your command skills without resistance? Monterey said, I already lost, so there's no need for resistance. Zero said, okay, good to know. Then someone said, if you're willing to give them up, then say the words. Monterey said, the command skills of the controller wars, I give you to Frieza, the sister of the one who had defeated me. I trust that she'll use you wisely. Command skills that were on Monterey's hand disappeared and appeared onto Frieza's hand. Frieza said, "Thank you, Monterey, for yielding your command skills." Monterey said, "No problem. In fact, I think I'm..." Monterey died, bound in chains that were cold to the touch. Franzaro said, "Well, he won't be harming anyone again." Frieza said, "Guess not. Come on, let's go." They went upstairs out of the dungeon and told the guards that Monterey had passed. Then they went back to the secret room behind the waterfall. When they got there, Inferno said, "That's where you were. What took you so long?" Frieza said, "To get Monterey's command scales, and now it's your turn." Inferno laughed and asked, "I was right, wasn't I?" Frieza said, "Looks like it." Inferno said, "Well then, the command scales of the controller war. I give you to Frieza, who I trust to take care of you." Gloa also said, "And I trust that he'll take care of mine as well." Both Gloa and Inferno's command scales disappeared, then appeared onto Frieza's hand. Frieza's hand glowed a golden light, summoning the controller. Frieza grabbed the controller and asked, "So I know my wish, but what about you three?" Fonzaro said, "My wish is that no one tries to mess with our family again." Inferno said, "I wish to be able to wait until I've decided on what my wish is to be." Gloa said, "My wish is to have my evil personality be removed from my life." Frieza said, "I wish to grant my brother Zero's wish as well as Gloa's wish, Inferno's wish, and to have Gloa's other wish that is my own as well, for him and I to be a couple." Their wishes were granted, and Inferno walked out. Gloa asked, "You wanted to be my girlfriend all this time?" Frieza said, "Indeed." They smiled and then kissed happily. Zero said, "Well, at least no one will try anything against our family anymore. We both will be happy as a family." Then someone said, "Indeed, we're both happy that both our children have those who love them and take good care of them." Zero and Frieza said, "Mother? Father?" They all laughed their butts off. Meanwhile, Inferno was out in his secret spot and said, "I wish to have the one I loved from when I was cursed to travel to this time and place so that we can continue to be together forever." The one he loved appeared in his arms and he said, "My love, Sarah, you are finally here with me." Sarah woke up, looked up at Inferno and said, "Basilica, is that really you?" Inferno said, "Yes, my Sarah, I'm here with you." Sarah said, "Basilica." They kissed in relief, and Sarah asked, "No one knows of this spot, do they?" Inferno said, "No, my love, no one knows a thing about this spot." Sarah said, "Good, because I'm wanting to have children as soon as possible, even if no one will even try to take them or separate us from each other." Inferno smiled. and they kissed. This was the story of Anime / Dragon Knight Unlimited. The end.